Parenting teens can be tricky, and it doesn't get any easier on vacation. So how do you ensure everyone has a good time on your Disney Cruise Line vacation?
Hey guys, we're Maple Mickey. My name is Lucas.
And I'm Lisa.
And today we're talking cruising with teenagers. Now this is the stage of life that we're in. In fact, our next Disney cruise is going to be with a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. How do you navigate doing a cruise with teenagers? Before we get into this, we do want to say we understand every family is different. And so we want to create just an idea of some maybe things to think about as you kind of enter into your next Disney cruise vacation.
Yeah, now Disney Cruise is great at advertising what they have for kids. Anywhere you look, you see Oceaneer Club, Oceaneer Lab, and much less of that advertising time and money put on what they offer for preteens and teens. But Disney Cruise Line has not forgotten them. They have invested a great amount into ensuring that it is a good and positive, fun experience for the entire family.
So there's two clubs on Disney Cruise Line boats, and that is the Edge Club, which is going to be your preteen club, and then you're going to have your Vibe Club. So what are the ages and kind of what are we looking at in terms of overlap between those two clubs?
Yeah, so Edge will start from age 11 and run to age 14, with Vibe being 14 to 17. Now there is a bit of a grace period depending on how many kids are actually those ages. Sometimes Disney will allow kids who are 10 or 13 to cross over into the older club. And if you have somebody that's a little bit maybe more cautious and wants to stay with an older sibling, if you go on that first day and ask Disney, they're pretty accommodating to understand that not all kids feel comfortable going into a new environment and making friends.
So we asked our kids kind of what the standouts were in terms of their experience on a Disney cruise. Their favorite thing was the food. And so there's a few things that we wanted to talk about around food, around meals, because there's so many options. You could literally go on a Disney cruise and not see anybody the whole time that you're on that ship, especially if you have more extroverted teens. And so one of the things we like to do around food and meals is we like to kind of plan ahead of time with our kids. Hey, here's some meals where we want to sit down together and experience it together as a family.
Yeah.
And then here's some meals where you guys are welcome to join us, or you can go and do your own thing.
Yeah. So we typically do that around dinner because dinner is such an event and it's a set sit down time. And then if everybody is kind of up around the same time, we'll go have breakfast together in the morning. But don't forget that room service is free. And this is your kids' vacation too. And I really had to wrestle with that on our last trip. Our daughter actually just wanted to order a burger and fries room service and sit on the bed and watch a movie. And it was dinner time, and I had a hard time kind of letting go of the expectation that everyone would dress up and go to dinner. And you told me,
yeah, it's her vacation too. So
relax.
sometimes you just need to understand that your teen is on vacation too. So let them have a moment. If they need some downtime, some alone time, do some room service. It's gonna make your trip better as a family by just being mindful of the fact that it's not just your vacation, but it's also their vacation. Yeah, some battles aren't worth fighting, right? We all know that.
Now, if you do have picky eaters on a Disney cruise, technically, once they hit that teen kind of age group, they eat off the adult menu. That might be unapproachable for some teens. So don't hesitate to ask for some of those kids' menu options.
The second thing that our kids said was they loved just meeting new friends. And so there are a few ways that you can make that experience maybe even a little bit better. When you book a Disney cruise, there's inevitably going to be a Facebook group that's created by everyone who's going to be going on that particular itinerary and that particular cruise ship. And so a great way to kind of get your kids potentially connected with other families with kids in the same age range would be on those Facebook groups. And sometimes if your kids are into it, they can meet some others ahead of time and maybe have some friends going into the experience right off the get-go.
Yeah, and so our experience is that an Instagram chat has been created and our kids have met friends ahead of getting on the boat, which again helps when you see each other in those clubs. Now, don't miss the clubs on the first day. That is when, especially with the teen and the preteen clubs, those counselors are collaborating with the students about what they want to do on their cruise experience, where with the kids clubs, it's pretty set already. They take a lot of suggestions from the students in Edge and Vibe. So they don't want to miss that first day. But also that is going to be when everybody is like the new kid on the block. This is the time where they're going to forge those friendships. It's a lot harder to break into them once they're existing further on in your sailing.
So another thing to think about going on with teenagers is consider some of the boundaries, some of the rules. I know that's such a dirty word for everyone, but it is wise to be having some boundaries on a cruise ship. So one of the rules, for instance, that we have with our kids is you can go hang out with people, but you're not allowed to go in somebody else's stateroom.
And likewise, no one is allowed to come into our stateroom except for our family and our stateroom host. And that does a lot of things. If somebody's just running down to change really quick into a swimsuit or whatever, you don't want some random person walking into your stateroom. But it also is just a safety talk. The other thing that we have is that they have to let us know in general where they're going. So we always have a whiteboard that's on the door that they could quickly just say like, hey, heading to the pool deck with friends. But also that Disney Cruise Line Navigator app is gonna work for any phone with the cruise Wi-Fi that is completely free. And you can send chats to the different people that you add. So friends on board or mom and dad through that app. And then if the clubs need to get a hold of you as parent, they will also contact you through that app.
So another thing to consider with just pre-deciding maybe, what kind of things are non-negotiable for family time. You have to think about the shows as well. So you think about meal times, but also think about the shows. Do you want to be together as a family? Our kids, the shows weren't as kind of high on their list. At least our son, it wasn't as high on his list as other experiences. And so we kind of had some discussions of whether or not they just felt that the show was non-negotiable, or if we just gave them the freedom to go and do what they wanted to do.
Now there are 3 main shows on each sailing. And so for us, those are the 3 that we typically say like, hey, come and sit with us at this show. We're gonna watch Aladdin tonight. Come and we're gonna do that together. And then the variety kind of shows, we're a little bit more like, hey, like go do your thing, that's totally fine. You also wanna pre-decide what curfew is gonna be. And you can give in the moment of like, no, like it's fine, stay out as long as you want tonight. But it's gonna save you so much headache if you decide before those friendships are made, before all the fun is happening, what time your student needs to be in the stateroom and getting ready for bed. Now, again, you can have different kind of views of thought. It is their vacation, but we all know that cranky teens aren't very fun to live with. And so we do typically have a set curfew, and then we extend it on specific nights.
Especially when the next day you're at Port of Call and you're on a bus and it's hot and sticky and they're in a miserable mood because they didn't get enough sleep, and then nobody's enjoying their Disney vacation. So.
No one is having fun. So another thing to think about beforehand is if you know whether or not your teen is good with money. If they are good with money, you can just leave all of the settings as is when you do your online check-in. If they're not good with spending, there is going to be a toggle as you're doing that online check-in as to who has spending privileges on their Key to the World card that you'll use on your cruise. So if your teen is not great with money, there is a ton of free food, there are a ton of free beverages that they can get. And then if they want to purchase something like a smoothie or something from the gift shop, then they actually need you to physically come and use your card. And that might help if your kid, you know, is a little extravagant.
And then finally, we recommend before you even go on your cruise, as you're booking excursions and different things, have your teen a part of that process if they want to be. And so if they want to be a part of that process, then they'll have a little more buy-in to the experience that you've designed around your Disney vacation, maybe a little less complaining when those days arrive, when they got to be on that hot bus. with a bunch of strangers. And so get them to kind of be a part of that planning process, because you'll get a little more buy-in, a little more excitement, bring them into that anticipation of the trip itself. And yeah, I think that'll just go a long ways to making it their vacation as much as your vacation.
And our last tip is to remember that there's not a lot of sunlight between teenagers and toddlers. What do you do when a toddler gets cranky? You give them a snack and you put them to bed. If all else fails of all of these tips, remember, if your teen's having a hard time, get them some food and maybe insist on an earlier bedtime that night, and I guarantee they're gonna wake up kind of on the right side of the bed tomorrow.
We're Maple Mickey, putting the magic back into your Disney cruise vacation. And if you are cruising with teenagers in the future, we hope this just helps you make some decisions ahead of time that'll make your next cruise vacation that much better.